Senator, I grew up in Pennsylvania and not in the great state of North Dakota, but there is a phrase that might apply here. This ain't my first rodeo. And I've seen 7 big price declines, and I've seen 6 big price increases. I think Antoine and I agree that prices are coming back. I think getting at the heart of your question, let me just try to separate it into 2 parts. A number of countries, Iraq was in there, Venezuela was also in there, had numbers calculated a while ago at they needed $100 to make their budgets. And in Russia's case, the collapse in the ruble and the strength in the dollar have really improved their position. So they export oil, they get dollars for it, their costs are in rubles, so that currency exchange ratio has really helped Russia. In the Saudi case, they might not need $100 a barrel anymore either because they've undertaken price reform. They're now starting to look at ways to charge people a little bit more for gasoline and electricity and so on. So, they can make some changes. But I think coming back to the heart of your question is, can we have $30 a barrel oil continuing indefinitely into the future? And I think the answer to that is no. Prices could go lower. We could see $20. Why? Because the cash costs, there's sort of 3 layers of costs in the oil business. There's cash costs, and that's what you need to cover your immediate bills, in a sense, and that's down near $20 a barrel. And then you've got mid-cycle costs. This is kind of like what you need to kind of hang on. It's like you might not be doing really well, but you're paying some of your debts and so on, so you're not being shut down. That's probably in the range of $40 to $60 a barrel. And then there's the full cycle cost. What does it actually take to go out and find more oil and to meet rising demand for oil? Because every forecast that I've seen assumes that. And those numbers are at least $50, I think, and possibly as high as $75, maybe even $80 a barrel. So at some point, I think we've got to get back to that full cycle cost range, as if we don't, this big buildup that we've seen in inventories over the last year and a half is going to get drained down, and then something will happen, and we could come back to the senator's question. I think it was your first question, Senator Murkowski. What about Venezuela? They're exporting 2 million barrels a day on net, and that could go off the market given the social, political turmoil in that country. And then we wouldn't be talking about these layers of costs. We'd be talking about, what does it take to replace 2 million barrels on a global market where there's not a lot of spare capacity.